the best course of action in many aspects, whether it's financial, whether it's career, whether it's in life, is reach out. It's hard to dig ourselves out of a hole, and you have to reach out to people who's done it and who are in those places. And once I have the awareness, I can spot those people. And once I spot those people, I'm not afraid to reach out. Once I reach out, I can model. And that's how I can get on the track of getting to where I want to be.
Welcome to the Secrets to Abundant Living podcast. Your guide on this journey is Amy Sylvis, ready to unlock the keys to a life of true abundance. We're diving into everything from financial freedom and optimal health to meaningful relationships, geographic freedom, and everything in between. It's about creating a life rich in experiences, purpose, and joy. Get ready for empowering conversations, expert insights, and real-life stories that inspire you to live abundantly. If you're ready for the secrets to an abundant life, hit that subscribe button now, and let's get started.
Secrets to Abundant Living podcast listeners, hey, welcome to another episode. We keep growing as a podcast thanks to you all. And so I want to make sure, if you don't know who I am, my name is Amy Sylvis. I'm your host. I'm the founder and CEO of Sylvis Capital. We connect investors to hands-off commercial real estate investment opportunities to create passive income. But enough about me. I've got a really cool guest today, Jay Ding, who I met through my USC alumni network. Raise your hand if you've ever heard me talk about USC. I'm sure none of you all had any idea I went to USC, right? Yeah, no, this is a mystery. But this is why I love our network so much, because I get to meet incredible people like Jay. You won't believe his story. We're really going to dive into this, who he is, what he does, why he does what he does, and maybe some inside information into his industry to kind of help us all. So I hope that gets you all excited. Jay, thank you for taking the time to join us today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem, Amy. Thank you for the kind introduction. I feel like I'm pumped after your kind introduction. So I'm really excited to be doing this with you.
This is great. Well, tell us a little bit about you. There's a lot to you. So whatever you say, I'm probably going to pull on a few strings because I really want our audience to understand who you are, what you do, what you're all about. Because I think it's really fascinating. I haven't met many people like you, which is unfortunate because I think you're pretty cool. So yeah, let us know a bit about who you are.
Yeah, thanks again for that, Amy. So my name is Jay Ding. I was born and raised in Taiwan, and I came to the States when I was 15 years old as an exchange student. So I'll tell you more about that story maybe in
Yeah.
another time. But I'm a classically trained banker. So I started my career with 12 years in banking, all with international banks. And, I think in the first half of our career, we're always trained and taught on how to raise up the ranks. So, which is what I did. And after my banking career, I got recruited. It was this awesome opportunity. I got to be a CFO of a global conglomerate consumer electronics company. That was a wild ride too. And I did that for 6 years. But, just when things can get more dramatic, my career took a 180 downturn because of, just politics, companies change. Like many other stories, I think I was age 40, and that wasn't the right path for me anymore. So I left the company. And at that time, COVID hit. So I spent a lot of time with myself and trying to discover what's next for the next stage of my career. The second, I'm a sports fan, so I use a sports analogy, second half of my career. So I spend a lot of time with myself, walking dogs, listening to podcasts, which, I learned about this new term at age 40. The word abundance actually came to my life at that time after listening to Jay Shetty and Brandon Bouchard and things, all these great podcasters. And this really distilled down to what's important to me, which was individual relationship building. So, I still have this love for finance, and I was trying to figure out what could be possible for the second half of my career. and I arrived at the answer of helping people with their own personal finances. So I joined my partner. We expand the firm. We run a personal financial planning and financial advising shop that we manage people's money and just helping people.
Incredible. I love your story. Full disclosure, we were at a tailgate less than a week ago where I got to hear more about Jay's story. I mean, we've talked several times. I knew he was a financial planner, but even starting with the fact that you were an exchange student at 15, what it takes to leave your home country, and not just any country, Taiwan, which I've been to, I love, incredible country. And you didn't just show up maybe in Los Angeles. You didn't just show up in New York. Where did you go to high school as an exchange student?
Well, thanks for asking and bring that up. I thought that was quite unique. Actually, this experience, I put it on my USC personal essay. It got me into my undergrad and the grad school later. I thought it was a really, really cool story. I went to Missouri, of all the places. Now, no offense to Missouri, but I think any international students coming to the States probably would have some other places in mind.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that takes a certain type of character and adventurous nature to step out of your comfort zone, to be interested in learning something new, live a completely different lifestyle. I would imagine. I know we don't have endless time, but I just, for my own personal interest, and I think likely our listeners, what was that experience like? What was your biggest takeaway? What was your biggest surprise? Clue us in what that was like to be 15-year-old Jay in Missouri.
A lot. Well, first of all, I have the full disclosure. No, we're more mature now. So looking
Yeah.
at it from, in a hindsight, it's quite unbelievable.
Mm.
When you're a 15-year-old boy, fear was not in my vocabulary. So obviously I did not make a, informative decision. I kind of just took a leap of faith. It will get me to the States. Let's go. Right. But imagine I was born and raised in a metropolitan city, Taipei City of Taiwan, capital of Taiwan, which is very population dense. It's very much a metropolitan area. Going from that to chopping wood. So we would stay warm in winter doing chores, yard work. If you can just imagine, I think the most fun place that we went was Walmart on the weekends. That was a Disneyland for me, let me tell you, because I could listen to CDs, my favorite band. I didn't really have a favorite band. I had to learn what my favorite band was. So I could listen to CDs, I can play game consoles, I can try on clothes. It was fun. And that was fun for me as a 15-year-old boy. And oh, maybe add one more fun activity. My host brother's girlfriend worked at a local video rental store. That's where we would spend our Friday night at. But to get there, we had to walk 70 minutes. And we had to get home by 11 p.m., which was our curfew. So
Right.
we didn't leave too much time. So we would go and grab our McDonald's and go and chill at the video store. That was our Friday night.
I love this so much. Thank you for sharing. It really illustrates the contrast, right? I'm gonna share my really bad Mandarin, but as you mentioned McDonald's, all I can think of is how delicious the food was when I was in Taiwan. I see your eyes getting bigger as you anticipate me saying something in Mandarin. So danbing is that I'm sure I'm butchering that. And Taiwan shanchang. I don't know if I'm getting either of those right, but those were two dishes that I loved in Taiwan, and I can't imagine you having McDonald's contrasting the great Taiwanese food with McDonald's as a 15-year-old. Oh my goodness. That
Yeah.
must have just been crazy.
No, your Mandarin's perfect. It's
Oh,
much
I'm
better than my English. Come on, Amy.
You're silly.
Give
You're
yourself
silly.
some credit. That was awesome.
Thanks. Probably shouldn't have so much courage, but I'm sure there's a lot more I can get better at. Okay, well, let's fast forward to a story that I think a lot of people relate to that especially listen to this podcast, which is maybe we're told by our parents, by society that we should follow a certain path. And for some people, corporate, you were in banking, for some people that fits them perfectly, but there are some of us that want something more, right? And maybe we reach our mid 30s, early 40s and decide that we want a pivot, decide that we believe we can have more, whether it's more freedom, more independence, more meaning, more contribution. What was that like to it sounds like maybe you were forced a little bit through, the corporation, but what was it like to go out on your own and set your sails towards something that was more fulfilling for you?
It's all of that, Amy. And as you're talking, you can tell it brought a big smile to my
Yeah,
face. But I'll be very honest, it was in the beginning, it was very scary
I bet.
because no longer you're in this protected environment, right? And because being a business owner, especially in the beginning, you're a solopreneur. You have to do everything, and it's all the fear of unknown.
Yeah.
And what we have been taught in either family, society, school, or even corporate training is certain way of going about things. It's predictability, right? It's every 2 weeks you have the comfort of knowing, hey, a paycheck is coming, no matter what, that's being taken away.
Yeah.
So it was very, very scary, to be very honest with you. In many occasions, still scary for me because, I spent the first 20 years of my life in corporate. And now I'm only at the infant stage of this, solopreneur, entrepreneur path.
Right.
So it's a big pivot. But however, I think everything that you have just mentioned sounds like abundance to me. And those are the higher purpose, maybe not a higher purpose, a different purpose after a certain point of your career that you're seeking because it's just not enough anymore.
Right. There's costs to getting a new company off the ground. There's not just financial, but emotional, psychological. But you reach a point where you get to reap those benefits. And I'd love to hear what sort of abundance have you found as a business owner, as a financial planner? Walk us through what that looks like for you now.
Yeah, definitely. I think it on a very superficial level, day-to-day level, because I feel like, first and foremost, you have to pay your bills. That's very practical, and it's a real concern for most people who are either thinking about it, wanting to do it, or wanting to make that pivot. So definitely, I think that's something that's very important. And so I will credit that to the first half of my career and having that good financial sense so that I built the wealth first part of my career so that I can reap the benefit and so I can make that transition a little less scary. But I do have to say that for anyone who is thinking about doing that, it is a real problem and that you have to take care of that concern.
Right.
But once you get to an okay place, I think now the different purpose start kicking in, right? The abundance mindset. So now I'm thinking about what's more meaningful for my work, right? Because every dollar that I earn right now has meaning to it. It wasn't just the meaningless W-2 that came into my bank account. Don't get me wrong, that was awesome for what it was for. But again, like I said, after a certain point, you want more meaning in your life, in your career. And so now I'm more confident as a result because, I earned this, I made this happen, right? And I help clients the way I want it, that's best for the clients, and not the way that the bank wanted it, which could be a completely different agenda because they have their shareholder to answer to, and I don't.
Right. Ah, that's a perfect segue. It's an absolutely perfect segue. I want to talk about your daughter. So let's make sure we talk about your daughter here. But I just want to pull on that thread of what you just mentioned because, like you said, as a financial advisor, now you get to give folks maybe what you didn't get, or maybe what you wish you would have gotten, or maybe what others in your industry don't necessarily do, which is putting their interests first and helping them reach their goals. Because as you and I both know, it's not just about stockpiling as much money as possible, right? It's the money's the vehicle. What can that money bring us? Can it give us better time to spend with our children? Can it allow us to enjoy our hobbies more? Does it allow us to go to a tailgate on a Friday, a little bit early than normal 9 to 5 hours so we can build relationships? So it's just so special that you get to do that. I would love to talk with you a bit more about this financial planning and financial advisory industry because there are different ways to approach this, if I understand correctly. Is that right?
Yeah, there's definitely different ways of approaching it. I think for the mass market, everyday people, right, you would probably have at least come in contact with at least one type of financial advisor during your life, I hope, right? Or there's a lot of DIYers nowadays because there are so much content online, right? But I would just be very mindful and just equip yourself with knowledge. Because, I will use myself as an example. I think I have a lot of great colleagues in this industry. But when I was in banking, I would consider myself as a financial sales. So I used to sell financial products, right? That a company wanted me to sell. That was my KPI. Now I'm a financial planner. So I do what's best for my clients. And I'm company agnostic, I'm carrier agnostic, I'm product agnostic. However, I can help my client. That's the way I go about it. And I use financial planning as the foundation because it's not what's important to me, it's what's important to the client, what goals that they want to achieve in their life. I enjoy doing what I do now because of that, because of the holistic approach, because I can sleep better at night knowing that, hey, I'm adding value to my clients. That's what gets me out at night. It actually doesn't feel like I'm going to work every morning.
Yeah. You bring up such an important point, and I quite candidly was stunned when I learned this about 20 years ago and this may be an oversimplification, but there are some financial planners or financial advisors that recommend products, maybe not explicitly, but they make money off of their recommendations. And hey, there's nothing wrong with people making money. From my perspective, I'm not putting that down. But I think intrinsically that can cause a bit of a conflict of interest, as opposed to another way, which is maybe a flat fee that one pays to an advisor or a planner. And so the recommendations that flat fee type person might recommend, they're not making money off of those. So they're completely unbiased and there just seems to be a different alignment. Am I doing a good summary of that, Jay, or am I missing some points there?
No, you did a wonderful job as
Okay.
always. I think, yeah, this is what we call a fiduciary relationship, right? So we do have both models. We have the brokerage model, we have the asset management model, but my preferred way of going about client relationship, it's not meant to be for every single relationship, just like everything else. There's a right place, right tool, right time for everything.
Yeah.
So the financial planning relationship, we charge a flat fee on an annual basis. So I always tell my client, you can fire me anytime, right? So you're not buying, it's not like the old cell phone plan, right? You're locked in. And I'm not like that. So if you find the relationship helpful, we will continue. And we charge a flat fee. We go through, we learn this in business school. We do financial statements for companies. So what I do now is I do financial statements for personal households, for your household, right? For dual income. If you're running a business, we can do it for your business as well. So by charging client a flat fee for the planning service, we have by law a fiduciary duty. So if that's ever in conflict with the other hat, which is financial advisor hat, by managing their money, then I have to be abide by our fiduciary relationship, which is, hey, you might need to move money out of our asset to do XYZ.
Very interesting. So, are there the financial advisor versus financial planner? It sounds like there are different definitions and different kind of ways to behave. Is that correct, or are those terms interchangeable?
They're interchangeable.
Okay.
It's interchangeable, but there are definitely subtle differences. I think the best way to think about it is how is this professional charged for his or her services? That's very telling a lot of times.
Okay. All right. And so the planner is maybe that flat fee, and the advisor is maybe commission based or
Maybe commission based, maybe on an annual management fee based.
Have you ever thought about having multiple streams of income? Instead of relying on just one stream of income where you're trading your time for money, how would you like to free up more of your time and live a more abundant life? As a listener of the show, you're invited to attend one of our upcoming trainings where I'll give you an inside look into how you can add passive income and get all the other perks of recession-resistant real estate investing without the headaches of being a landlord. I'll also be sharing some hidden mistakes to avoid and the criteria I personally look for when evaluating potential investment opportunities. To reserve your seat for free, go to sylviscapital.com/webinar. Again, that special link to reserve your seat for free is sylviscapital.com/webinar. I look forward to seeing you on the training. And now back to the show. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
So what I learned this about 20 years ago, it was just me. Obviously, as someone who offers hands-off real estate opportunities to people, I'm still stunned at some of the conversations I have. And, truth be told, what I do isn't for everybody, right? We talk to every individual to understand their goals, their risk tolerance, their time horizon. What I do is definitely not for everybody. But I would say at least once or twice a month, I get a potential person who's interested in investing, whose financial advisor tells them they're in stocks, they're in bonds, they're in mutual funds, maybe a few annuities, and anything else alternative is not for them. They shouldn't do it. Their advisor tells them strongly, hey, and that might be true. I mean, I don't, their advisor knows a lot more than me. I don't give advice, but it is an interesting thing to see repeatedly because maybe that advisor isn't making money off of this person investing in physical gold and silver, in private lending, in crypto, or in real estate. So, I think the bottom line is it's so important for people to understand how people are incentivized that they work with and how it might influence. Hopefully it doesn't, but the truth is it might influence what they do. So I love hearing that you charge a flat fee, and gosh, that must help you sleep better at night.
Yeah, I'm kind of a nerd about that, right? So I get really technical, and sometimes I have to remind myself, hey, this is not how the client talks, and that's not how they receive information. So I have to put it through a little translator, and it comes out in layman's term. But what I do behind the scenes, that's what I enjoy doing, financial engineering, if you will, right?
Oh,
So yeah, I definitely agree with you. I don't have a problem with how people charge. In fact, I have that fee model as well. So it's just different for everybody, and not saying commission based or fee based is wrong or incorrect. There's time and place and client for everything. So, sometimes clients come to us, they know what they want, they know what they need. We don't need to go through comprehensive planning. That's not the relationship they're looking for. Then we can go with that model too. But yeah, if I would say anybody who's listening that have any doubts or questions, usually getting clarity on how the financial professional is compensated is very telling. Again, no right or wrong, it's just education.
right. What I've noticed from you, Jay, through our private conversations and also here on the podcast, is how well you articulate nuance. You aren't speaking in absolutes. You aren't saying, one thing is bad or one thing is good or there's one way or one wrong. You really take into account that wide gray area, which I'm sure serves you so well in your business of, hey, this is a detailed and personalized topic, right? If it was so easy where we could just apply one rubric to everything and get the results we want, there'd probably be no need for you. But the reality is really, really good financial advisors and financial planners take the time to get to know, to customize that financial engineering, as you mentioned, to get the results that the clients want. So I think that's really refreshing in 2025 when it seems like almost everything is extreme, right? But the truth really lies in between. I think that's beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, I wish our life is kind of like the social media, right? Share the top three things you need to do to reach financial freedom. Well, there's not top three
Yeah.
things. There's
Yeah.
probably 3,000 things. So I'm
Right.
a contrarian by nature, but I enjoy looking at things from different angles. So sometimes it confuses the heck out of myself, but I enjoy the different viewpoint.
That's perfect. That's perfect. Well, I want to pivot to your daughter because I know she's not a financial topic, but as I was getting to know you, it was so special to hear how you were intentionally building your life. We've talked about, intentionally switching careers and creating something that's more fulfilling for you and allows you to design your life. And then you mentioned your beautiful daughter and how she impacts your life as well. Can you tell us just a little bit about her?
Yeah, of course. Her name is Maddie. And whenever I get a unified reaction, everybody hears the name Maddie, everybody says, ow, oh, it's very cute,
Yeah.
right? So she is the joy of my life. I had Maddie when I was really late in my life stage. So I had her when I was 44. And I just love how me and my wife came to this decision because it was very intentional. I was raised in a culture where there are certain sequence in life that I have to follow.
Yes.
You are raised up well, you go to school, you get a great job, you marry, you have kids, and you retire, right? That was the sequence that it was instilled in my programming. But when I met my wife, which, is I would describe as she's my better half. When I mentioned to her, hey, I think it's time to have kids. Her first comment was, well, according to who? Well, second question was, why do you want to have kids? And I remember this vividly. I was near my kitchen sink, maybe doing some chores, and I was stunned. I didn't have a good answer. And it took us, I want to say 7 years to, for us to come up with a unified answer. And not intentionally, life just happened that way. But in hindsight, that was the best decision making process because we reconcile our differences, me and my wife, before we had Maddie. And that's the cornerstone of our family, our relationship. She's the joy of my life. It provides me with additional boost of motivation, gives me that desire and actually the drive of living a more abundance in life in many aspects of our lives.
My cheeks are going to start hurting for how much I'm smiling because I just love to hear you talk about her. Well, it's such a great example. We try to do this on the podcast of giving folks to meet folks like you who are, again, being very intentional and not just doing what they're told. There's nothing wrong with that. But for some of us, the timing is it's best to have Maddie at 44 because we've established different things. Our relationship, our marriage, is strong, whatever the reasons are. I think you're giving us several examples of why listening to yourself, examining the whys. I love these questions that your wife asked too. That's just brilliant. I think it really hedges our bets to get the most out of life if we think the way that you've shown us that you thought. So I'm just so grateful that you're willing to get a little personal there because I just think the stories resonate with our audience tremendously.
Yeah, thank you for that. I mean, obviously, you do such a great job. I feel very comfortable in sharing personal stories, but I hope that it's not advice to the audience, but it's just sharing life stories and it might resonate with some of the listeners. And that's certainly the hope. Yeah.
I love it. So what's next to bring more abundance into your life? You seem goal oriented, your wife seems goal oriented. What are you all going to be doing next to bring more abundance into your life?
I think being more intentional, continue to be more intentional, even on this abundance of mindset. I really think it's a practice, at least to me, because this, like I mentioned earlier in the podcast,
Yeah.
this abundance of mindset is a foreign concept to me. That's not my culture. That's not in my upbringing. My upbringing in my family is more on the scarcity, which is the opposite of abundance.
Yeah.
And I think being aware of it and starting to accept that's who I am and starting to embrace that's how my family is and start dissecting, hey, when I first learned about abundance, this is a huge word. It's kind of like when I was doing executive coaching and some of my EMBA students would come and say, I want to transition in tech. Well, tech is such a big word. Abundance is such a big word. But I think to answer your question, start drilling down and break it down to what areas of life that you would like to practice abundance in. So I do this exercise with my wife at the end of the year, and now it's very timely. It's called the life audit. And I learned that from Mel Robbins, again, one of my favorite podcasters. So we do this abundance balance sheet. So we're able to list out 9 different areas of life that I want to, some area that I already have a lot of abundance mindset, some area that I lack a little bit. So we would do intentional exercise to kind of boost that area that I'm more weak in. So that's kind of what we do. And what I identify is I will want to practice more in the relationship aspect of abundance.
Terrific. I love that you can't know where you're going unless you understand where you are. It sounds like that assessment, that audit really helps you identify in 9 different areas, which is tremendous because we are multifaceted beings, right? It's not just money. It's not just health. It's not just relationship. We're whole human beings. So doing that exercise and then doing it with your primary relationship, your wife, and to make sure that's, you both understand. Great way to set yourself up for having more abundance in your life. That's beautiful.
Yeah, thank you.
Time has gone by so quickly. This is really cool. What final words would you give either to folks that maybe feel stuck and they feel like they want to cultivate more abundance in their life, or maybe they're financially feeling like they're not as abundant as they would like, and they need some advice on not financial advice, but how to kind of get on the right track, maybe get partnered up with someone who understands and who could help them? I'll let you answer either question or both. I threw 2 at you, but would love to just to hear your thoughts there.
Yeah, I would say the best course of action in many aspects, whether it's financial, whether it's career, whether it's in life, is reach out. Really just reaching out to people. And I hate to sound cliche, but you are the 5 people that's around you, right? So envision. So you feel stuck right now. What would you like? What would be a better version?
Yeah.
What place would you rather be, either financially, relationship wise, career wise? And envision, where would you rather be? And what kind of people are in those environments? And reach out, right? Because it's hard to dig ourselves out of a hole. If you're ever in a hole, that's not what I'm, implying. But
Right. Yeah.
you have to reach out, and you have to reach out to people who've done it and who are in those places. And so, one thing that I practice abundance with is modeling, right? It's not in my nature, it's not in my upbringing, but my wife is, my business partner is. And once I have the awareness, I can spot those people. And once I spot those people, I'm not afraid to reach out. Once I reach out, I can model. And that's how I can get on the track of getting to where I want to be.
Success leaves clues, right? We don't have to reinvent the wheel. There are people who are already where we want to be. We can emulate them. We can reach out to them. We can build relationships. We can surround ourselves by them, and we become the people we're around most, just as you said. So, gosh, that's beautiful. Jay, thank you so much for joining us today. I could not be more grateful.
Thank you, Amy, for this great opportunity. I love talking to you. I love being on your podcast. I love being part of your community. I feel like, everything that we stands for, our value matches, and which is why I really, really enjoy our interaction together.
Ah. For folks who want to reach out to you, because I'm positive folks will want to, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
I think my email is very simple.
Okay.
It's just JAY at ventureonward.com.
Okay, terrific. We'll put that in the show notes. Folks would really encourage you to reach out to Jay. As I said, we've been building a relationship for a while. I've gotten to know him on many levels, and can't recommend him personally and professionally more. So thank you again, friend. And thanks to all of our listeners for joining. We look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Bye for
Thank you,
now.
Amy. Fight on.
Fight on. Yes, thank you.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of the Secrets to Abundant Living podcast. We hope you found inspiration and valuable insights that will empower you on your journey towards abundance. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Your feedback means the world to us, and it helps others discover the secrets to an abundant life too. Stay connected with us on LinkedIn, Amy Sylvis. Keep striving for your goals, nurturing your relationships, and embracing the adventure that is life. Until next time, we wish you an abundantly fulfilling day.